Awesome. So I want to go ahead and kick off. This is being recorded, so just so that you're all aware that you know that you're being recorded, that this is being recorded for people who couldn't get on to want to see it later. This is our first virtual annual meeting of WINGS. Made it a lot easier to join since we all just had to sit in a room and log in. But I'm going to turn it over before we go into some pictures and PowerPoint slides and the actual now Denise is sending me a message, which is always something important. Yeah, there's 3 screens of people that I see. I have full screen going, that's why. What we're going to lead off with is to let Rita and Elaine, who are co-chairs of the board, to say a few words. And if you could all please make sure that you're on mute so that we don't have any interruptions, particularly people on the phone. That's where we get some distraction. So I'm going to turn it over to Rita. Where did she go?
I don't see Rita.
I think we lost Rita. She's probably stressing about getting back on. So Elaine, why don't you go ahead and go, and then when she gets back on, we'll have to go a second.
Sounds good. Okay. Do you want me to just pick off where I was supposed to pick up on, Rebecca? You want me to start where I'm supposed to pick up from Rita?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is going to be very one of those times when we're going to be winging it. So.
Yeah. Oh, literally. What happened? You just dropped.
Oh, there she is.
She's back.
Yeah, I'm back. You can't get rid of me that easily. John.
Thank you, John. No, we were going to go ahead and start, but now that you're back, you want to go ahead and welcome everyone?
Well, welcome everyone. I'm really happy that you've decided to join our annual meeting, and I wish we could all be together, and hopefully next year. I'm sure we will be. Hopefully we will be next year. So thank you all for joining in. For those of you that don't know, I've been involved with WINGS for over 25 years, and I've participated in its growth from a very small nonprofit, as you might imagine, that many years ago, to being the largest TV agency in the state of Illinois. So I've been around for a long time. Today we want to celebrate some amazing accomplishments in a very challenging year. We started the fiscal year in July of 19 with no idea how things would progress. None of us ever expected a pandemic. However, the WINGS board, the staff, the donors, the volunteers, everybody has carried us through, and we're not only surviving, we're thriving. A big change over the year was a restructure of our board governance to a co-chair model with a president and a CEO, Rebecca being that person. And we're truly grateful to Matt Bauman for serving as our board president. He remains on the executive committee as our past president. Matt, we can't thank you enough for your dedication to WINGS. And Elaine Sambo-Rather, who has been a board member for 14 years, was elected co-chair of the board. She, as my co-chair, I've got to admit, she's done the heavy lifting. She's taken leadership of the board committees, the exec committees, in all of the other committees. So I really thank you for everything that you've done, Elaine. You've done an incredible job. Now, would you like to tell all of the others about the changes at the board level in spite of, I want to say COD, in spite of COVID?
Yes, thank you, Rita. Thanks for your kind words. You know, I think about my 14 years and it's been a long time, although it doesn't seem like 14 years. And then I look at, you know, the number of years that you have been committed and continue, you know, with you and John, you know, just how you continue to devote your commitment to WINGS. We are truly fortunate, and it's a huge reason as to why it has grown to be the largest DV agency, you know, in the state of Illinois. I know that I speak for thousands of families who have transcended abusive relationships to happy and healthy lives when I say thank you. to all that you and John have done. So I want to welcome everybody as well. Good afternoon. It is great to see everyone. You know, I think about this year and, you know,
I'm gonna listen.
Zoom, I think that if I took a poll right now, everybody would raise their hand and agree that, you know, we're all kind of
Need
tired
the,
of it. If I could just remind everybody to just put your computers on mute for now, that'd be great. Thank you. You know, everybody's tired of Zoom, but you know, I always try to find the positives and everything, and I think the thing that I've been most grateful about as it pertains, as it relates to the Wings group and the Wings family, is that, you know, I've had the pleasure of seeing many of you, right? To see your faces, even though it's not in 3D form, you know what? I'll take it. And it's such a pleasure to see all of your faces on a monthly basis, quarterly basis. You know, whenever I can get it, I'm going to take it because, you know, we just have to adjust accordingly. This was a challenging year on many levels. The people behind Wings never cease to amaze me. And that is why I have, you know, continued to be committed, to be involved personally. I look at the Wings staff and you think about the environment that we're in, the pandemic, and how the need for our agency grew even that much more. And so coming together, being able to provide the support that so many come to us and seek from us, it's key. And you know, it's always what I appreciate in everybody who's involved, especially Rebecca, is all the forward thinking, right? We're always forward thinking. We're always thinking about what do we need to do to help more people, to do more, to really, you know, not have to turn anybody away because our safe homes are full. It has been a true pleasure to serve as board co-chair. And Rita, I appreciate your comments and recognition, but you know, I learned from you, and it has been a true joy to have that mentorship and learning. I've had the opportunity to convene the board meetings, to participate in committee meetings, getting to know the officers and vice presidents of the committees. Rebecca has had tremendous patience with me as I ask a ton of questions so that I can get caught up to speed and learn. I'd like to recognize at this time the officers who served last year. Let me start with Matt Bauman as immediate past president. Thank you. Bill Shannon as treasurer. Nate Solomon as secretary. John Shakota of council. Victoria Watkins, VP of advocacy. Sunita Chamarty, VP of strategy. Dr. Algene Garner, he is VP of programs. Ken Gorman, VP of operations. Debbie Jackson, VP of board development. Elizabeth Tenner, VP of philanthropy. Mary Toomey, VP of personnel. I would also like to call out the 11 new members who have joined the board this year. You know, and this is like, I love this because we need to grow in order to grow, in order to serve more people. So I would like to just once again welcome Jackie Tilton, Karen Gray Kriebel, Amy Rule, Trish Rooney, Victoria Watkins, Niaz Kamukagath, and I'm sorry if I doctored the last name up there, Janet Boyle, Dr. Mia Lane, Kelly Henry, Judge Crystal Rivers, Rebecca Huffman. You know, I think about the people that we have brought on and to complement the strength that we already have on the board. And I have tremendous excitement and I'm, you know, I can't wait to see what the coming year will bring. I also want to thank Deb Vanderweet and Lisa Sadeka. You know, they are two of our outgoing board members, but the value that they have added and the mentorship that they have provided, you know, I look at both of them and I have learned, you know, a ton from both of them. So I just want to thank them for their contribution and their continued commitment to Wings. You know, as Rebecca always says, and I know Rita has said this too, you know, if you leave the board or if you come off of a committee, it doesn't mean that that you are out of the Wings family. You're always a part of the Wings family. And I think that that's just a privilege that we have had, that we have people that want to stay involved and want to stay committed. You know, I'm excited for Rebecca, for Denise, for David, for Sylvia, to talk about, you know, just what we've had to do. I'm not going to steal their thunder, but to be a person in business and look at what I had to do personally to adjust. You know, we had to be nimble. We had to adjust accordingly, given the cards that we were dealt, given the waves that were in front of us. And this team, this leadership team, this executive team, they did it like champs. I mean, they acted like there was no pandemic and they were just working harder, smarter, and getting things done. So I just want to add an extra thank you there, and the entire staff of Wings, you know, actually. So I know there's many of you on here. I haven't had a chance to see you as much. Everything that you do, that you bring to continue to make Wings run smoothly. You know, you guys are you're the unsung heroes behind the scenes. So thank you for everything that you do. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Rebecca, and we can start talking about, you know, just what the organization has accomplished over the years. So Rebecca, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Rita. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm horrible at this, so patience, please. Hope that the PowerPoint works. All right, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me start the show. Certainly, again, to echo Rita and Elaine's sentiments, and you know, Elaine, you may not realize this. I saw Susie Bryant on the call, and she's been involved with Wings well over 30 years, and still does stuff for us, and is a good friend to me and a good friend to the organization. And I saw Jim Linden. So to your point, you know, once you're a part of this family, you're always part of this family. And we're all in this together, you know, to provide housing and integrated services, and make sure that every survivor has a voice and the resources to break the cycle. So it does take every single one of us, and every single person on the team, and every volunteer that steps up to the plate. So you know, we can't say thank you enough or often enough. And so, you know, in this time, we've just had to plow forward and do even more. So it's been a year. I will say one thing, and I put this in the front intentionally. The management team had started working on a diversity and inclusion statement, and really not to just talk the talk, but to walk the walk. And I was very happy that we were already well on our path when everything in the universe exploded with the death of George Floyd in May, knowing that there were many incidents prior to that, but just the unrest that and the call to action that it created in terms of really valuing everyone regarding, you know, regardless of their culture, and to support and value everyone and their diverse voices, particularly with our employees. We really, you know, want our employees and clients to know that we really do value them. And we worked hard this year to bring more diversity to our board as well. And I think we've done a good job. So I thought this was really important to point out as a huge accomplishment this year. This is published on the homepage of our website, and we are publishing it throughout the organization as a very important priority for us as an organization. So I'm going to take you back to a time when we actually got to do things in person. This was our Purple Tie Ball of 2019. It seems like it was much longer than a year ago, but it was just a little over a year ago. And as you can see, that's John and Rita, with John and Joanne Pajasic at the Purple Tie Ball last year. I tried to embed videos and it didn't work, so you get still pictures, but there you are, last year's Purple Tie Ball committee at the Westin in Itasca. There you are. I don't know if Elizabeth is on the call today, but Elizabeth is our outgoing VP of Philanthropy. She's remaining on the board, which we're very happy, as the Director of Creatives at Uline. So we're ecstatic that she's staying on. And then Sweet Home Chicago. So this year we're going to be doing it much different. So Mikey here will get his gingerbread house delivered to his very well decorated house that Melissa there goes to the great ends to have a beautifully decorated home. So we're grateful to Mike and Melissa for their support, and we hope that Mikey enjoys decorating his gingerbread house at home this year. But I know he'll miss the Four Seasons. They always make a weekend of it and stay at the Four Seasons and go swimming and have a good time. So hopefully next year we'll all get to do that again. And this is the funnest part of Sweet Home Chicago, and I highly encourage all of you, we'll get you the link that you watched. I was invited to Ralph's studio to do the alphabet song. That's the crazy thing that they're doing. If you're wondering what these people are doing, you can see John and Rita's sons and Josh Hale from Big Shoulders Fun, I'm behind him. But we always have a fun time dancing to the alphabet soup song that Ralph plays every year. So this year we recorded a show in his studio, and John and Rita were kind enough to do a video in their home of the A. You can see John and Steve Pajasic doing the A over there. So stay tuned for a different Sweet Home Chicago, and hopefully back to the Four Seasons next year. But it's always a lot of fun. And I saved Jennifer for this last. You're going to see her again in a minute. For those of you who were at the Purple Tie Ball in 2019, you heard Jennifer's amazing speech, which brought down the house in terms of her eloquence, her tenacity, and just her grace in terms of everything she's overcome in her life. She came into the safe house with that beautiful little girl who was a baby at the time, and the staff helped her in every way that she needed. And I'm going to show you in a few minutes where she is at today. But she was just a driving force for that evening in terms of just embodiment of all the efforts that we all put in together to do what we can for our families. Also last year, in the last fiscal year, we were very blessed with some major gifts. And I saw Representative Morrison jumped on because I had to tell him to mute himself, haha. But we were blessed thanks to his tenacity and that of outgoing Senator Tom Rooney and Senator Castro, who also serves on our Leadership Council, and Representative Mussman, who's on the phone, all the state legislators who are behind us. And for some of you who don't know, they are also wonderful that I have their cell phone numbers, and if I need anything, I call them and they answer. But we had been working on a $500,000 state capital grant that Senator Rooney had put in for us when he was in office. And it took the help of everybody on both sides, all the way up to the governor, and Trish Rooney, who's on our board now, helped make some phone calls to bring that check home. So on my birthday last year, December 6th, we got the $500,000. So it was great because we needed that to pay ourselves back for the construction of Metro. We also were blessed, Doug and Ann Grissom, who you see on the bottom center here, made a 5-year, $500,000 commitment to our Building Safer Futures Fund. And so we are in year 2 of that commitment, and just talked to Ann yesterday, and we're going to celebrate our birthdays together in the spring because her birthday is coming up as well in December. And then last but not least, John and Rita once again came through with a multi-year gift, $1 million over 5 years. Which is supporting our contributions, our annual operating contributions, and our events. So we are truly grateful for these gifts, which help us sustain the organization and to grow. And Denise is going to talk more about that when we get to her presentation. And then last year, the holidays, this is how we celebrate on most years. You see Bruna on the left there, our volunteer manager, and Tabitha in the middle with our Santa's elves at our Lutheran Church of Martha and Mary holiday store, which they had to take virtual this year. So again, a team pivoting to make sure that we can continue to do things for our clients in the same meaningful way, but just in a different way. And you see some of these volunteers in here have also been with us 15 to 20 years. On the right, just last year was just a special year at Metro. We had this dad with these 2-year-old twins. And you can see Santa giving them their teddy bears that were donated by Pat and Shirley Ryan. It was just, a sweet moment. We also had a woman, a 99-year-old woman who knitted scarves and hats for them and the other children at Metro. So just to give you a remembrance of the past and a reminder that we'll be back there again someday, hopefully sooner rather than later. And then just quickly, this is the governance structure that Rita and Elaine were referring to. We really shored up our committees this last year. In our February meeting last year, we approved this new structure with these 8 strong committees that report up to the executive committee. Then COVID hit, and so we're really hitting the reset button and getting these committees really working hard for the organization as we prepare for a new strategic plan that we will be working on in the spring of this year. Before everything hit, literally right before in January, I had the great opportunity to meet with Pat and Vince Foglia down in Naples, Florida. I happened to go on the coldest day of the year. Luckily, I had one good day that we were able to go have lunch together. The reason for my visit to them was to ask them if they would support the purchase of the admin space that is adjoining our current space. And that was on Thursday when I had lunch with them. And by Tuesday, I had the check for $600,000 that allowed us, in the middle of the pandemic, Jim Lennon did a virtual closing for us to purchase the remainder of the building. The building is under 2 pins. We'll be able to consolidate them, and when our neighbors move out, they're renting back from us in the next year. We'll be able to consolidate a lot of our community-based resources under one roof to make it more streamlined. So again, truly grateful of the magnificent support that we get from every different direction. And Sylvia will tell you about even more of that amazing support that carried us through what could have been a devastating time for our organization. We were actually doing some pretty amazing things. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to quickly just echo what Elaine said regarding the staff. I think most of you have heard me say it in board meetings, or you've heard it through constant contacts, email communications, that the call volumes that we received in the spring just skyrocketed, and they continue to remain high. And I can tell you, being on the front lines and having, when the pandemic first hit in March, we had to move people out of the safe house in Rolling Meadows. And we were one of the first groups to do that, and it was for their health safety reasons. And for the first time in 15 years, that house went dark. And it was pretty eerie. I sent the picture to Rita and Elaine. We were both kind of like, choking up. But what the staff did was nothing less than remarkable, and just what we would expect is David Cahan, the COO, and his team jumped right in. You can see plexiglass that went into the safe house. Plexiglass went into all the resale stores. And the staff just stepped up and just took in more people to the hotel. Metro never shut down. They never moved people to the hotel. They distanced them. And even in May, when the protesters were within a block away of Metro, they never stopped serving their clients. So very remarkable. And children's staff turned their services into virtual, so they were doing FaceTime with the little ones who loved it, FaceTime with the teenagers who loved it even more, and will continue doing it, and saw participation in their Spanish-speaking parenting classes go way up because people could do it virtually, and started doing parenting classes at 9 p.m. at night after the kids had gone to bed. So everybody really stepped up, and in our community-based services, they see clients who, some of them are still with their abuser, trying to do safety plans and seek support, and they had to be very creative and innovative in being able to keep contact with their clients. So I just want to say thank you to all of them. I meet every week, once a week, with the program managers, and I look forward to that hour every week to hear about the amazing things that they're doing to save lives. Including right now, we have 2 moms living in hotel rooms with 5 kids each and one with 4. And they have determined that they are going to get them into housing for Christmas so that they're not in hotel rooms. So kudos to a phenomenal team across the board. And I'll let Sylvia and Dave talk more about what their teams have done to support all this work. Now I'm going to turn it over. Oh, first I have to tell you the end of the story. This beautiful home that Jennifer said she was going to be built, was going to be working on the Habitat for Humanity, is done in Elgin, and she has moved in. She and her daughter now have their own home. So I just wanted to tell you the rest of the story on them. And now I will turn it over to you, Denise.
Thank you, Rebecca. Hi, everyone. Let me start my clock. So I'm going to take us back to almost a year ago, February of 2020, as the first stop in our highlights of last fiscal year. And our year started strong. At February 29th, 2020, resale was on pace to break the record that it had set at the end of fiscal year 19, with record revenues and net income that were matching where we were before we opened the logistics center, which was a huge turnaround for that operation. We had our new Chief Development Officer developing and executing on plans to move Wings to a new level of individual donor cultivation, and the results from that were impressive. As Rebecca referred to earlier, we had received a few significant gifts. The one that had the most impact on our financial position was the $500,000 from the state of Illinois. We were able to pay back funds that we had borrowed from ourselves to complete construction on Wings Metro, which really shored up our reserves and our restricted funds. So at February 2020, it looked like the year was going to end nice and strong and put us in a great position for fiscal year 21. We also had made some HR improvements through the first several months of the year. We had completed our new compensation system, and we made our minimum wage adjustments for the first step of minimum wage increases that we're going to be seeing over the next several years. We also had undertaken a review of our performance management system. We had been in the system for 2 years, so we collected feedback from staff and managers in particular, and we made revisions to really focus our analysis to goals, core value competencies, and professional development. So all of these things were in place, and like I said, we were looking good. And then came March 13th, at the end of the day, we closed our main office. And on March 18th, we closed our resale stores. So we went into crisis management mode, even though, as I think it was Elaine said, we acted like there wasn't a pandemic. Well, we did behind the scenes. So we undertook a few big steps at the executive team level to really make sure that we were in a good position. We first looked at our expense controls. We reached out to our store landlords, and we did furlough almost our entire resale team as the stores were closed. We also, asked staff to please, watch their spending. Travel was down, which was great. And our partners at the Greater Chicago Food Depository stopped charging us for the food that they provide, which was also a huge way for us to save our expenses. And then we had to turn to our cash flow. And with that, we started looking at the federal programs that came out. So the FFCRA, the HR team worked to put that in place, get word out to staff so they knew that if they had to quarantine or became ill, that they would have income if they didn't have paid time off, or they wouldn't have to use their paid time off. And then of course there was the CARES Act. The CARES Act was signed into law on March 27th. On March 3rd, we put in our Paycheck Protection Program loan with Chase Bank. On April 4th, we got tired of waiting to find out if we were even in the queue with Chase Bank. So we pivoted and went to our other banking partner, BMO. On April 4th, we put in an application. On April 15th, we signed the loan agreement, and on April 20th, we received just over $800,000 into our bank account. And that was huge. Those funds were used April, May, June, part of July to pay rent at our stores so that we could maintain high relations with our landlords there. It also helped pay for the resale staff that we did not furlough, the management team who was critical to making sure that we were prepared to reopen when we were given the green light, as well as one of our transportation team to keep the donation flow going. It also helped cover non-grant staff and our administrative staff. And what that allowed us to do was take the donations that Sylvia and her team worked so hard to bring in and hold those for the rainy day that may come now in fiscal year 21. So that was really big for us. And then once we got the batten down the hatches, we had to immediately start planning ahead. Our fiscal year was ending June 30th, and we had to have a balanced budget in place so we could start the new fiscal year. So the executive team and the finance team undertook a process of scenario modeling. We looked at our economic outlook. We read a lot of news, looked at what a lot of experts were saying, what they were predicting the virus might do, and what other issues, political, would be having an impact on the next 12 to 18 months of our operations. We developed 4 scenarios and were able to develop a fiscal year 21 budget that assumes a reasonable level of risk and makes sure that we balance that with serving our clients where they are with what they need, as well as serving our staff to make sure that they are safe and that they are being supported, and focus on our sustainability. We are always balancing those 3 things with every decision that we make. And so far, fiscal year 21 looks okay. Through October, we are continuing to evaluate risks and uncertainty. Our cash flow remains strong. The virtual Purple Tie Ball was a resounding success, which was very helpful. We are hopeful that contributions will pick up, as our big donation season is moving along, and we are expecting to move out of the crisis in the spring and next summer with not a significant impact on our overall financial health or operations. With my sincere hope that we come out of it stronger. That is my expectation. But as we all know, things could turn on a dime. So I remain optimistic that that's where we'll be. And my hope is for a fiscal year 22 budget that gets us back to where we were thinking we were going to be for fiscal year 21. So again, thank you all for your support. I know that there were some difficult conversations that we had when we were going through crisis management and planning ahead. But with my fellow team members and the support of the board, it really made those conversations easier. So thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Denise. We're going to go to David Cahan, our Chief Operating Officer. And Dave, just tell me when you want me to go to the next slides, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you, everyone. One of the greatest gifts in Wings Resale is to support the agency. And on a regular basis, we'll receive calls from Safe House managers asking for clothing and shoes for families that just moved in. And many of the families that enter the Safe House come in with just the clothes in their back. And the managers, Colleen from Niles, Nancy from Arlington Heights, and Charlie from Schaumburg, as well as Martha from 63rd Street Thrift. They take great pride in providing clothing, shoes, furniture, and home decor for our clients on a regular basis. And that effort probably does not get shared enough, that we do provide such a great service for our clients. 63rd Street Thrift, and we can move to that slide, Rebecca, that opened in September of 2019, and that's a temporary sign. We have a beautiful sign that's up there now, and that store supports the clients from the Metro Safe House and also a lot of the residents from the West Lawn area. And we've experienced incredible sales in that particular store. I'm extremely happy with the clothing sales, particularly men, women, children, furniture sales. We sell a lot of furniture in there. And in October of this past year, we hit an all-time record of $25,000 in 1 month, and that's with 0 advertising. And I'm really proud of what that staff has done. In fact, I was there earlier this week, and I was in the back bringing merchandise in from the other stores, and I snuck a mom and a kid from the Safe House in the back, and they went shopping. And Carlene and I talk about it all the time. It's such a gift. When you're looking at that picture right there, you can see the windows. Those are guest rooms. They literally can come downstairs and shop for their families. And I love it when I see the moms and kids that shop. But I also love when I see the residents from that neighborhood. Over 2 million, 60,000 people live within 2 square miles of that area, and it's showing, and the staff's doing a great job. In going back into resale, and Rebecca can go into, some further slides, but, in November of 2019, we had a record Black Friday sales, and that was a year ago. Believe it or not, the store sold over $60,000 in merchandise in 3 days. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I know it's hard to believe that's 2,200 transactions in 3 days. And Denise mentioned in February where, things were looking really good. I remember February 29th, that was the Leap Day. That was one of our 50% sales. We sold $32,000 of merchandise in 1 day. That was in February of 2020. Little did we know that the stores were about to close in less than 3 weeks. I mean, I remember sitting in the store, each store had maybe 30 or 40 people waiting in line to get in. And how did we know that the stores were going to close in less than 3 weeks? So as Denise mentioned, we were on pace for a record year in revenue and profit, no question. We worked really hard to get there, and that's the incredible effort of the managers, the sales staff, and the volunteers that just do a great job. So during the closing, which again, as Denise mentioned, included a furlough of most of the staff, that's the sales staff, logistics staff, we went to work. We didn't sit back. We picked up clothing, accessories from over 350 homes. We worked with our contacts from North Shore churches, from retail establishments, from existing donors, and we kept the donations and the merchandise flowing. If you were to look at the logistics center when we were closed, the piles were getting higher and higher because we knew in the long term that we would get through this. And the picture you see on your right, that I remember that came from the Kenilworth Union Church pickup. I remember that. I took that picture, and it's incredible what the donors were doing to help us. And at the same time, while we were closed, the team developed a very detailed safety procedures. We knew when we were going to reopen, we'd have to have procedures to safeguard our staff, volunteers, donors, and customers. And we did reopen in June of 2020, June 1st. The very first day, we sold $6,400 in merchandise. I'm really proud of what we've done. And since that time, we've exceeded expectations in a very challenging environment. I want to personally thank our retail staff, the resale staff, logistics personnel, the incredible transportation team for their incredible efforts. But I also want to thank the Tabitha, our needed items supervisor, who, believe it or not, during the pandemic year raised $20,000 more in donations than the past year. Now, this is despite a lack of large volunteers and those corporate donors that would bring a lot of items in. She had incredible, efforts with the Amazon charity program. And while we were shut down, the transportation team picked up over 1,000 boxes that were delivered to the main office of just every item you can imagine. And we continue to do a great job during this environment because even though the resale stores were closed, our properties were not. And the moms and kids, they needed merchandise, they needed product, they needed toiletries to keep going. And we can go to the next slide, Rebecca. That we are now working on a couple initiatives. Even though things might be a little different, we're going to plow forward. That's the Wings Arlington Heights store. We're going to expand. We signed a lease from 6,000 square feet to 12,000 square feet. We will be taking over 3/4 of that kids' beds facility, and we look forward to exceeding furniture and home decor sales. And despite COVID, and we're going to move to facilities real quick, we do have to maintain our facilities. And we've done several projects during this time. In the past year, we finished the renovation of the Canning House counseling room through some grant money and help from volunteers of the Build team. We put a brand new roof on the Metro Safe House, so no longer leaks into our extended housing units. And we've done several other projects because we had to maintain all of our properties. And we look forward in the coming year to more exciting projects. One of our goals is a complete kitchen renovation at Metro, along with the hope through grant money of flooring replacements for both Safe House, from carpet to laminate-based flooring. So, I want to thank the entire team and thank the entire agency for their incredible efforts during this very challenging time.
Thank you, David. And Sylvia, we'll get to your slides real quick here. This is Sylvia's out.
And I'm so excited. I just, when I looked at the slides, actually, if you can go back, because I just want to stare at that. The picture in the upper left-hand corner of that slide is the Wintrust mural on the Kennedy that just went live a couple of days ago. So if you're driving down the Kennedy, please absolutely drive safely, but pay close attention to that. And the flyover, which is also really cool, is been posted on social media today. So that is one of the things that we've been working on very hard over these last few months to make a reality. And that's so well timed for us right now. But what I'd like to do first is because my team is on this call, and some of you have not seen them or seen their faces, and given this virtual environment. So, and also as a way to just call them out for their incredible work during this past year. So, so Shelley Welch, Sarah Swiston, Nikki Katrodia, Nancy Rathman, Nancy Freris, if you could all wave so that others can see who you are. And also by extension, I want to mention Anna Bard, who is not on the development team, but works so closely with us on all of the graphics and all of the things like this Wintrust mural that you're seeing, and the new annual report that was just released, the digital format, which was a first of its kind. And Anna is so talented and works so closely with the development team that I also want to recognize her as well. But what I would, just in keeping this presentation as, as short and sweet as I can, the development team had its own PPP process. And I would call that pre-pivot and post. And pivot has been a new buzzword, a new buzzword that we use a lot. We've used it a lot as an executive team and certainly as the development team. So if we can go to the next slide now then, Rebecca, what I would like to talk about is a little bit of what that pre-phase was like. So again, it's been mentioned, we were really excited, we're in February, we're, moving into that last quarter really strong. And what I would say about that pre-phase is that, there was a lot of infrastructure and operational and systems implementation going on, a lot of changes to the way that we approach our appeals, segmentations, the way we use our system. We developed new appeals. We started using digital platforms in a little bit stronger way. We developed some new appeals. The appeals were much more targeted. And just to give you a sense of how we were doing, and certainly how we finished the year, the numbers sort of speak for themselves. So we ended with the implementation of that full development plan, which included a lot of these elements. And we ended the year stronger than, in a stronger position than Wings has seen in several years before then. And I will say that we had some very ambitious goals. So already we were accomplishing an enormous amount. One of the things that I will share with you, which is very significant, is that in terms of the number of donors, just in the general pool, we went from a little over 600 donors to a little over 1,300 donors. And that does not count the new donors that we have received, that we received gifts from in the pivot phase. So that was the pre-phase. This is all having to do with the pre-phase. Now the pivot phase. Well, the pivot phase is the obvious that has been mentioned before. What happened when COVID hit and we were in lockdown? And I will tell you that it was not an April Fool's joke, because by April 1st, the team had already put together a plan, and we had started letter campaigning. We had started online constant contact, all of the methodologies that we could think of to get out to all of our donors and to our entire database. And by April 1st, money was coming in. In that phase of that pivot phase, we were able to raise over $325,000 from an additional 1,200 donors, new donors to Wings. So this is, incredible. Gifts ranging anywhere from $10 to $5,000, just online, just writing checks, sending money in. We were, our hands were cramping from writing thank you letters, and that was a very good problem to have. So that is that's part of the pivot phase. The other part of the pivot phase, as has been mentioned before, is that we needed to take Purple Tie Ball to a virtual platform, and that's where Nikki Katrodia did an amazing job of shifting. And we had an incredible co-chairs, Debbie Jackson on our board, Melissa Canning, who you saw a photograph of before. I introduced Pam at the beginning. I think I saw Kristen on the call. An incredible committee that helped us exceed our goal. And what is significant about a couple of things that we did that's unique. First of all, we had the most sponsors that any Purple Tie Ball has had. So people responded to the call. And the other thing that happened is that we opened up Purple Tie Ball for anybody who wanted to pay $20 to get online and see our program to watch the Purple Tie Ball. And as an example, we had one donor who was not known to Wings. She paid $20 to see the virtual program, and within a week we had received a check for $1,000 from her. So we are now taking those learnings and those lessons into the post part, and that's the last part that I'll talk about. Well, now we're working on an integrated marketing plan. The philanthropy committee is getting up and running. I mentioned the annual report and its digital format, which is, the first of its kind. It's absolutely beautiful. I hope that you will all go and see it. We are now sending that QR code out on the bottom of every thank you letter, on the bottom of every communication that we're sending out, because we want to drive traffic to that annual report, where people who gave during COVID and beyond can also see not only recognition for their gift, but they can see the full breadth and scope of what Wings is able to accomplish and what they're doing and all the amazing things that Wings does. It was mentioned before that the individual giving, there's different schools of thought and it's a little bit of an unknown, but I will share with you that this past Tuesday was Giving Tuesday. We had a goal of raising $12,000. Our theme was spend $120, which is the cost of one night of shelter. And we ended up getting over 100 nights of shelter and have exceeded $22,000 in gifts. So we have well exceeded our goal for Giving Tuesday already. And that does not count in matching gifts that we haven't received and some other gifts that are still trickling in. So incredibly successful. We're also receiving gifts already from our annual appeal. Within a week, we're already, within a week of sending out the annual appeals, we've already exceeded $20,000 in gifts for the annual appeal. And we're in the process of planning for Sweet Home Chicago, another virtual event in another place based on our learning from Purple Tie Ball. We now have offered the gingerbread houses as a way for someone to give a gift to Wings and then receive the gingerbread house. And what I can share with you is, as of today, we have received $15,000 for gingerbread houses. And 80% of the people who have purchased gingerbread houses are completely new to Wings, completely unknown to Wings. So we are meeting new people. We are increasing the number of people that we have in our family and under our tent. And then that last P that I will say is just perseverance. You know, we don't have a rear view mirror. We're not looking backward. We're just looking forward, thinking of innovative and creative ways that we can continue to bring new gifts and new donors into our family and larger gifts. So that is a summary of how development went in the PPP era.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia. Now we have just a few minutes left, and I hope this was informative. We wanted to make it more fun with videos, but like I said, we couldn't get that to work. I'm still learning all this technology, but I would like to, at this point, acknowledge the nominating committee that was selected by Elaine, Rita, and myself. And it was Terry Banich, Amy Rule, and April Graves served on the nominating committee this year and assisted with assembling the board members who are up for renewals. And these 11 people have all indicated that they would like to continue. So I'm going to turn it over to April Graves of the nominating committee.
Hey guys. Okay, so this is a really great report. I've loved listening to everything that's going on. It's good news all around, it looks like. So we have the following board members are up for term renewals. I will read through the names and then we will hear from Elaine, who will ask for us to all vote in, and we'll be good. So I have Terrence Banich, Matt Bauman, Rita Canning, Renee Ford, Ken Gorman, Kendra Hirsch, Jane Marcus, Elaine Sambo-Rather, Nate Solomon, Elizabeth Tenner, and Mary Toomey. So
Great. Thank you, April. Can I get a motion to vote these board members in for another term?
So moved.
Who moved?
Jackie.
Hi, Jackie. Thank you. Can I get a second, please?
second,
All in, who seconded?
April.
April, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any,
Everybody can vote.
Aye.
any opposed? Nobody opposed. Okay. Motion passed. Thank you for the ongoing service from everybody here. So, you know, this has been a great meeting. It's been a very informative meeting. As you can see, that Wings has had a tremendous year. You know, I heard this today on another call that I was on. The rearview mirror is smaller than the windshield, right? And so it is forward looking. And, you know, I mean, we can look back, learn a lot. We learned a lot from what we have endured throughout this past year. The people who are on this call, everybody who's involved, it can't be done. You know, all the efforts here. It's just a collective effort, and much gratitude for everybody's contribution. So with that, with the thank you, with as we head into the holiday season here, want to wish everybody just well. You know, keep your health, keep your sanity as best as we can. And with that, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved. This is Rebecca.
Rebecca Huffman, thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Jackie's fast.
Jackie, second.
At the end.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. It's great to see everybody's faces. Happy holidays to all of you and your family. Stay safe.
Holiday.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.